ladies and gentlemen. Afrikaans is one of the, it's a Shangani language, one of the 11 official languages in South Africa. Maybe just before I can go into the project itself, just a bit about Gauteng. Most of you may know Johannesburg, which is the city within Gauteng. It's one of the 9 provinces in South Africa. In terms of landmass, it happens to be one of the smallest provinces, occupying 1.4 of South Africa's landmass, but being the biggest in terms of population, at the moment sitting at 18 million, which is 24% of South Africa's population. Over 33% of Africa's economy, it's where we occupy, that being 10% in terms of the contribution. The learner population, we're sitting with 2.2 million in 2,300 schools. I think I've already highlighted Gauteng in brief. We had a challenge of apartheid, as you always know, that had a huge effect in terms of the poor culture of learning and teaching. In 1994, when the new democratic government took charge, 40% of the adult population could not read or write. And out of that, only 40% of black students passed matric. In 1996, of the adult population, only 20% will be having matric. As the new government took charge in 1994, the biggest things that will have been dealt with in the beginning was access to education, was delivering equity from the divided past of apartheid, as well as setting a new basis to redress the imbalances of the past. And then fourthly, to establish a new basis for quality education, as well as setting of systems, efficiencies in the education system. In terms of the key areas of resourcing public ordinary schools, we will have your norms and standards on education. We have no fee-paying schools at the moment, sitting at 62%. We've got a nutrition program to make sure that children go to school with a meal. We've got scholar transport to make sure that in areas where children have to travel more than 5 kilometers, they are provided with transport. And then, of course, we have the challenge of infrastructure. With a divided past, you have well-resourced schools from the advantaged communities and poorly resourced schooling from the disadvantaged communities. And then you also have a resourcing in terms of learner teacher support material. In 2009, when the administration then took over, led by Ms. Christie, who's one of us here, as our MSc, we had a challenge of what we call a yo-yo in our matric, our grade 12. In red there, that will be the national performance in matric. In blue there, that will be Gauteng's performance. I think if you look at that graph, you will realize that Gauteng always pulls up the national results. But with the intervention there, 1 year the results will go up, the other year they will go down, and that's why we called it a yo-yo effect. In 2009, with the new administration, we then established what we call a senior secondary improvement program. The purpose being to, having addressed the 3 challenges of access, redress, and we then had to look at the issue of quality of education that we provide in matric. The senior secondary improvement program was done to address the declining performance in matric results, but to also look at issues of maths, science, and technology. Previously, there were the initiatives to look at improving matric results. They were decentralized to the districts, but what we saw that the standards were varied. We then set on a course to redesign the senior secondary improvement program to be central managed. We provided a supplementary tuition program. We also provided a teacher training on areas that were seemed to be problematic when exams were taken. And then we also provided transport so that learners can be able to go to the sites where there will be these intervention programs. We also provided nutrition as part of that. Over and above that, there will be motivational talks from alumni, learners who were previously in those schools, as well as role models. We also implemented ICT literacy training to make sure that we could also deal with basic literacy of our learners and can do broadcasting. Our senior secondary improvement program, as it is, it's a highly successful extramural supplementary program. It operates in 155 locations within the province, and it targets 60,000 learners who are doing grade 12 in our schools, targeting 431 high schools. I think what you see there is that from 2009, you can see the yo-yo stopping and the performance of our metric going up steadily from almost 71% in 2009 going up to 87% in 2013. That will show that while in organizational theory, policies mostly only succeed in 20% of the cases, this will be one of the policies whose success will rate amongst them. What the SIP model does in terms of school is we standardize curriculum delivery according to pace setters as well as work schedules. We provide training and support to the educators, and in terms of the SIP sites, we consolidate key concepts as well as focus on the exams. That will go with supporting the learners with tuition as well as support. I think that will be targets we've set at the moment, and I think I can skip that. SIP is based on 4 pillars. The first pillar is a target on grade 12. What we do on grade 12, there are Saturday classes each and every weekend. There are also winter classes. We also do winter camps where learners are taken, where learners from disadvantaged communities are exposed to the best teachers. We also do broadcasting of lessons where we'll get the best of our teachers with a standardized material to broadcast lessons across all the SIP sites. Of course, we realize that the problem doesn't start with grade 12, and as part of that, we do catch-up programs for the learners that come with a gap in their tuition from grade 10 as well as 11. But for that, we don't do the Saturday classes, we only do the sessions during the winter holidays. Pillar 3, and very important, is that we realize that there are gaps in some of our trainers, our teachers, and then we do specific content gaps training for our teachers. And then pillar 4, we, at the level of grade 8 and 9, we do broadcasting of lessons specifically around mathematics. Again, I've already talked about that, the Saturday classes, the daily tuition during vacations, as well as the daily club sessions. Leadership and management, this is very key. I think this is thanks to the vision that we had from our political principal there, Ms. Barbara Prince, who laid behind us, as well as the cabinet of the province. We also set aside executive committee meetings to oversee the program, the tuition program across the province. There were district implementation teams that will meet each and every week to monitor as well as offer support to the program. We also had site managers in each of the SIP camps, as well as a permanent SIP program office. We provided transport, I've talked about that. We provided feeding. We provided standardized materials as well as printing. I've talked about that. Stakeholders involved, very key. School governing bodies were very key in the success of the program, as well as the associations. Faith-based organizations were also part of the program. Political parties across all orientations were part of the program, supporting the program for learners to be participating in the special programs. Learner Representative Council, teacher unions were all key stakeholders that form part of this program. I think if you want to have a look at the impact of the program, you can see in 2009, of the historically disadvantaged schools, very few will be above 80%. And I think if you look at 2013 on your your left-hand side, you can see the graph becoming flatter with most of the schools performing above 80%. The program outputs, one of the key things that we've started seeing with the program is the differential between historically disadvantaged schools as well as advantaged schools, moving from 24% in 2009, and now the gap is only at 9%, which means there's no difference between going to the historical disadvantaged schools and going to those good schools, like the private schools. The difference is only 9%. So we've started seeing a lot of people now taking their children to our private schools. Our mathematics pass rate as well, we've seen it improving from 40% to now sitting at over 65%. Same with physics, it has moved from 41% to over 63%. I think if you look at maths and physics there, you can see the pass rate in mathematics moving from 40% to 61%. In physical science, you can see the pass rate moving from 41% to 65%. And those will be most of the learners who will be going to our universities. In terms of underperforming schools, any school in our grade 12 that obtains below 80%, below 60%, we classify it as underperforming. From 2009, it was at 188 in terms of the schools there. You can see it moving to 19% in 2030. What we need from the educators is a positive attitude, participation in training, advocacy, feedback on CPU's fullness, as well as its weaknesses. So I think in our conclusion is that our senior secondary improvement program has indeed delivered results. We've also seen confidence in the public schooling system improve as a result of